Lynn, thank you for the setting up the webinar and arranging for the coalition of the willing, those interested in cloud-based accounting systems and Xero in particular. Delighted to be a part of Grow My SME and the Digital Catalyst program in particular. And I've had some really positive experiences using Xero these many years. So apologies to those that know a great deal about Xero. For them, I'm sure I'll come across as someone who's gushing and in love. But for those for whom cloud-based accounting is new or fresh, and Xero is a piece of kit they just haven't got around to trying, I think you'll actually find my reasons for love quite compelling and interesting. The firm has been doing excellent work for many years. They keep rolling out features so very fast. So it's kind of nice to hear other people's experiences, find out what the latest functionality is. Anyway, let me walk through. It's a whistle-stop tour. Obviously, very happy to answer questions at the end, and hopefully, I'm on no commission from Xero, but hopefully recruit a few more people to join the tribe. I think there's sort of 2 to 3 million installations globally now. The UK's fastest-growing cloud accounting system. I've cheekily called it from zero to hero, or zero for heroes. Obviously, a little bit of wordplay. It really is beautiful accounting software. Many of the accountants that I've worked with and the online video resources, it becomes a bit of a common theme. People, the Apple of the accounting world. It's basically what all the cool kids use, and that's because it just works so well. It's both beautiful and it works so very well. Anyway, let's jump into the meat of things. By way of introduction, I'm a consultant that has worked as an associate for winning moves in Birmingham, the West Midlands, for I guess it must be more than a decade now, on a number of ERDF funded programs. But in my other life, wearing other hats, I've worked as an interim finance director for a number of SMEs, and in particular one that I helped to raise $250,000 of funding with crowdfunding, and then 2 million, and then 3 million thereafter in the world of leisure. So we built a chain of climbing walls. It was actually working for Jed, the owner of this business, and with his grand aspirations to grow and to raise money, that we made the plunge, moving from QuickBooks to Xero, at the behest and the recommendation of their funder. So when my interim term ended and the funder, the private equity firm, placed their own person, for them, Xero was the piece of kit. They have a practice management software. They're very happy with its functionality. They can consolidate. They even get a consolidated view across all of their investments. But it's probably worth saying, I've worked with hundreds of businesses, often on financial topics, and more it is the case that people are turning to these sorts of web tools. I would say, Xero seems to be the one that people choose more often than not. So why do I like Xero? Well, first and foremost, you can go from pretty much zero knowledge to being a competent operator and driver of Xero within a day or two. Certainly, if you've done double entry bookkeeping and you've used other tools in the past, then you're not going to have any trouble using Xero. And what's wonderful, because it's first and foremost an online business, and it's got such a following, there's a vast population of gushy people like me that will make videos and answer queries, and you can pretty much consult YouTube and Google for any little particular thing that may or may not work, or you're struggling to get to work, and the answer will be there. A virtue of Xero, but also a virtue of other cloud accounting systems, is it's online, so they prepare the software for use on all device formats. Although you've got a different set of features, a reduced feature set, smaller functionality when you go to tablet or phone, it still has the stuff that you need. So on more than one occasion, I've been at a client side, and I'm sure I've had clients tell me the same story when they drive Xero. They'd finish a meeting, finish a project, and then immediately send that draft invoice, or agree terms, and then fire off a quote, and that's quite powerful. Suddenly it's not this slow, sedate back office function. It's something alive, and as long as the person has the relevant permissions and knows how to drive the software, they can raise invoices and purchase orders and bills and many other things, but we'll come to that later in the deck. So online, as I'm sure we'll all agree, is the way to go. And the other aspect of digital and doing business using modern tools in 2020 is SaaS and cloud. So not only have you got this wonderful software that runs across many devices, you no longer have to stump up a large amount of money all at one go. Xero has a 1 month trial period for SMEs, so you can at the time I used it with my Northwest based, my leisure business client. We were porting data across, and that was actually a funded exercise. So Xero has third parties that they pay in order to migrate data across. Fantastically helpful. And the virtue of so SaaS is just a boon for trying out great kit without having to make big purchasing decisions. And cloud, of course, means that somebody else is responsible for the infrastructure, the space for the server. Suddenly you don't have to worry about downloading, an update, or which version of the software do you need to have that particular month, or looking into your crystal ball to imagine what your business needs are going to be in 6 months or 6 years time. You can just use a piece of kit that already scales. And at the time of preparing this presentation, I understand Xero are still using US data centers, but I'm sure, like many of the internet giants, that to comply with relevant GDPR legislation, etc., they'll set up EU data centers for EU business data. But cloud means scalable. Xero is a big business, it's not going anywhere, and it works for its clients include very big businesses and many thousands of accountants in many territories, many jurisdictions. So certainly cope with a range of accounting, international GAAP, UK GAAP, etc. But again, we'll touch on that in another slide. Simultaneous access. So I can't say that all cloud solutions offer this. I think probably most of them do now. But when I contrast with Sage, Opera, QuickBooks, other pieces of kit I've used in previous iterations, previous lifetimes, there's just no comparison for that versatility and ease. So in a world of online cloud, you can have simultaneous access to the same data set. There's no issue with version control. There's usually a version control system or locking built into the software, so data's not flying left, right, and centre and getting lost. And you can provide different levels of user rights. So what I love about Xero, and I'll be honest, I've never set up this many user types simultaneously. It would normally be an external accountant, a financial controller, and an owner, let's say. In theory, you can set up all these different users for all these different user purposes. I've heard anecdotally from other people, my chartered accountant that I bring into projects, that people have used Xero with great success to survive and get good outcomes from some tax inspections and tax audits. So as will become clear, with a system like Xero, you can very quickly share your bookkeeping data. You can share your records, the evidence that goes with those transactions in a digital format, and it's essentially watermarked. So the folks at HMRC have a level of trust that from being able to access and scrutinise. So those queries that you have to deal with just go so much faster if you're in that situation. I'll be honest, I've never had to share it with a banker. Usually you prepare loan applications separately, but in theory you could do so. You can provide access to all of your records on a temporary basis. And of course, even a business coach. I have plenty of clients that do share access, so I can give advice on the solvency of their business, or what changes they might want to make. Again, fantastically easy with Xero, in a way that wouldn't necessarily be with older systems. Backup, I guess this touches on the issue of nil infrastructure and software as a service. So, in businesses, it's, you have to, the fiduciary and director duties require adequate record keeping. I'm not saying that Xero's disaster recovery plan necessarily gets everybody off the hook for their 7 years worth of records, but you can assume that your data will be safe. And there are actually tools for those that want belt and braces. There are tools in the Xero ecosystem, third-party apps that also let you download all your data for archiving and backup into Excel. I think it's called WinDev, and that's also pretty damn good. Bank feeds. So we start to get to the rabbits coming out of the magician's hat. So again, other cloud systems have participated in this revolution of wonderful features and enabling all different skill levels to use the software in a competent and safe way. And the big enabler of that is bank feeds. So suddenly you're not doing endless data entry. You're using your mobile banking credentials to provide limited access for data dumps, for pulling down data. I've used Xero with pretty much every high street bank, and the list of compatible banks only seems to grow. And we talk about bank feeds, but we also mean credit card, PayPal, Stripe. So there are other financial data can be pulled in. But for the sort of technical nerds out there who want to know about timely and exacting reporting, is my data current? Is this the picture? Again, at the time of making this presentation, I think the bank feeds are 5 days per week, Tuesday to Saturday, so a daily dump with periodic permission renewals. So I think I've been asked for my clients and on my Xero account pretty much every 6 months. It might be every year. They seem to ask, fairly frequently for that permission renewal, and you just get out your mobile phone and your chip and pin, or your RSN encrypt, or whatever the bank security system is, and you award that temporary access, and it works very smoothly without any drama. I can say that. Auto magic. So level 2, the next furry creature with big ears coming out of the Xero magic hat. And again, other cloud systems have copycatted this, and so this is perhaps not as exciting today as it was all those years ago. But once you've got your bank feeds dumping, your bank transactions into the system, and you're making your postings, and postings are like making snaps. I'm not talking about cerebral double entry, thinking through all of the posting pairs to make good records. You still need to have that thinking. You still need to check your journals, of course. Still need to do year-end adjustments, absolutely. But if you essentially, once you've done a couple of months, it depends on the shape, size, trading nature of the business. But let's say a quarter of transactions, posting a particular bank feed item, a receipt or a payment, to a particular code or account on the P&L or the balance sheet, then it will remember, and it remember the transaction type, and it will remember the counterparty, the recipient. So then pretty much from then on, it's able to suggest where that payment should be allocated, or to where that receipt should be matched against an invoice, etc. So, it starts off slow, but it becomes incredibly fast. It becomes pressing a button, having your automated bank feed, and then just seeing a whole bunch of suggestions for where all these transactions should be posted, and then pressing OK 20 times. And it's fantastically rewarding and fantastically. Obviously, that feeds into general reconciliation. I read somewhere, it was a Xero survey, the favourite time for people to do their matching, their posting, their reconciliation work is 7:17 in the morning. So obviously, breakfast is both the most important meal of the day and also the time to crunch through your financial records. All I can say for those that have never used such a system is to just have a little play. It's so easy to get the data in, and it's so easy for the data to be processed, and it's pretty easy to curate and check the data is where it needs to be, or the entries, the postings are valid. So the amount of time saved overall is therefore dramatic. Integrations, I suppose, is the wizard's hat. So you've got magic tricks that make your life easy, and great pieces of kits that the internal developers have worked hard to build, and you make compliant with all these different tax jurisdictions. But what really makes Xero stand apart from everybody else, this really is their USP, is just the size of their ecosystem and the level of integrations. So I think the 500 plus is an old number. I think if somebody interrogates the Xero site, they'll probably get an even bigger number. They've fully embraced Web 2.0, and they've allowed others to ride that wave of success with them. And you've got plenty of try before you buy and premium add-ons from third-party developers that you can access. And what's even more interesting, I'll be honest, for my clients, this has never been relevant because the ecosystem's just so strong. If you need a particular solution because you've got a really hard puzzle to solve in terms of how you account for your records, different currencies, different jurisdictions, transmogrifying assets with many users, many owners, whatever complexity is thrown in. If you can't find a piece of a third-party app in the ecosystem, then there is an open API, so your developers can build something. And then presumably once they built it for you, or you built it for yourself, using an R&D tax credit, if you can get one to boot, then you can spin it off and it can be posted in the ecosystem as well. So lots and lots of potential to customize, tailor to your needs. Just to give you a bit of a flavour of the types of integrations, the timesheets, staff records, health and safety, compliance. The biggest, the deepest coverage for the third-party apps is in the Australian market, because obviously that's the country of origin. But the UK is a big second market, so they're pretty good. Both the third-party developers and Xero themselves are keeping everything up to date and compliant for the UK. Another area is e-commerce integration. Pretty much no surprise these days, but pretty much everything that can be automated is automated. So all of your online shopping data to trigger invoices, do tracking, and push data back into Xero for reports. It's all there out of the box. It's really good. I'll be honest, I've not used these tools much myself. I do myself out of a job. It's the work that I tend to do for the clients, but there's also a lot of automated reporting tools for forecasting, benchmarking, cash flow analysis. So I'm a little bit of a Luddite when it comes to those things, in as much as I'll use Xero for statement of cash flows, but then I'll download data into Microsoft Excel to do cash flow forecasts for helping the senior managers or directors make decisions. The consolidation piece is absolutely amazing. Again, I have anecdotally from my accountant, who also has a stable of Xero using clients. You know, if you've got a big business that sprawls across many countries with different, obviously, tax accounting standards, tax jurisdictions, it's often a little bit of a puzzle unless you're using, you know, SAP or Microsoft Dynamics and you've paid somebody thousands of pounds per day to, you know, to crunch you out the solution specific to your business. It's actually a little bit of a hard puzzle to make consolidated reporting. At least in the territories where Xero is active, and it's a growing number. I think it's large single-digit or double-digit numbers of countries. You can get consolidation. You know, using a range of really good third-party apps. So if you've got a business in the UK or several businesses in the UK, consolidation is trivial. If you've got a business, you know, in Australia, the UK, the US, consolidation almost trivial. And that's really good for professional investors, which I think is why in my first experience of Xero, our private equity investors were saying, you will use Xero, because it was just really, really easy for them to get the, you know, to get a consolidated picture of all their holdings. Yeah, I've spoken so much, my laptop all went to sleep. Here we go, debtor tracking integration. Obviously, you're going to have credit controllers in your business, or that function will before, you know, the financial controller or the FD. There's lots of nice ways to automate that work, to take the pain away. So, you know, out of the box, you know, Xero will, I think, send the reminders. You know, it's pretty trivial to you know, to go in and ping them, even if they don't. I'm pretty sure they do. And there's third-party apps that will layer on, you know, SMS replies as well, and automated interest charges, which again goes into the system. You know, new invoice raised. So again, just neat. Financial service integration is another area. I've never used it, but I'm aware of it. This may be relevant to some of the people on the call. So you can share your data via a third-party app, in effect, so that credit brokers can check your, you know, character, quality, and collateral. I suppose it's the collateral they're checking, and then come to a determination on what sources of finance might be appropriate. I think this is more for, you know, the Australian market, where there's, you know, there's a lot of asset finance providers, but I could be wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Maybe there's you know, maybe there's a UK app that brings all the brokers to one place and then gives you, you know, a big smorgasbord of finance options based on your business's cash performance and its assets that can be pledged as collateral, etc. It's fun. I think you probably still need to work in the real world if you want to raise serious amounts of money. But that's another way to access brokers, other sources of finance. I have used time tracking tools, or at least my clients have, for human and non-human assets. You know, if you've got a business where you're, you know, renting or hiring out assets, non-human assets to track, again, you know, there's lovely, neat solutions out there, and you know, put the client statements of account and client recharges, all that stuff pretty much comes out of the box. Again, you know, automated invoicing. Expenses is very fun. Again, I can't say that Xero are alone in offering this service. I found it incredibly useful. So, you know, it's all very well having your digital data, your bank feed, you know, receipts and payments automatically pulled down, you know, a little AI auto magic recommending where they should be posted, only for, you know, the financial controller to say yes 20 times or okay 20 times. But as everybody will know, there's non-cash transactions to keep track of as well. And in the smallest form factor, that's expenses of all the workers of the business. So this used to be a third-party app, but actually the last couple of years I've used Xero's expanded products. So they have an expenses module or suite that you can plug in, and then you can make that available. You don't have to provide full accounting access to everybody that has expenses. You give access to the expenses module, and people, you know, take photographs of their receipts and computer vision image processing then pulls off the the date, the payee, and the amount of money. I can't remember whether that works with the multi-currency feature. I have a feeling it doesn't, but certainly if it's all in the local currency, that works very, very easily. And that particular add-on obviously allows the expense claim to be submitted and then approved or denied, edited, etc., etc. So it's just another fun way for someone with a mobile phone to be productive. Not only can you fire off an invoice in a whim, you can also process your expenses on the fly and create digital records. So you can almost, for those brave enough, you can almost throw away those receipts. Please don't take that as my recommendation. I would still keep them in a folder just in case you get a tax inspection. Tax compliance. Best example here is HMRC's Making Tax Digital. So, after there was the consultation and, the various changes to what that would look like and what the thresholds were for, requiring different businesses, different sizes to do that reporting. And real-time, RTI reporting of wages, it was the same. Xero was right there on the finish line. Their system was able to cope with those changes and make the reporting to HMRC using a click. So rather than running 20 pieces of software to report all this information to the tax office, you can just go back to your trusty Xero. And I have a client that uses the Making Tax Digital, works really, really nicely. The RTI stuff, I don't want to misrepresent. There may well be a third-party app. I don't think there's a core application for dealing with RTI. So for those people thinking about payroll, probably they still need their other solution to run in parallel. Some of this will sort of be no what Sherlock type moment. So apologies if if I'm teaching anyone to suck eggs. The nice thing about, and this is sort of a bit of a deep dive into the invoicing or the business dashboard part. For sales, you can generate your quotes, you can generate your e-invoices with an attachment and link. So you can edit an invoice, and there's a version control, and your client that's received the email can click the link and also see the different versions. This is just very neat. Within the sort of mailbox feature of the invoice area, invoices can be marked as sent. So for very basic human credit control, it's just easy to keep track of your debtor's ledger, and there's basic reports that come out of the box as well, and sorts and sifts. You can send repeating and automated invoices, which is also rather good after specifying rules, and of course integrations with payment providers, which allows different debtors different ways to pay. So this is also just part of that slick world of online tools and cloud. Ditto purchases. So there's a parallel system where with purchase orders, which you can match against expenditures as they come in, bills, repeated payments, and obviously the receipt bank and the expenses we talked about. So it just works really, really well from a budgeting perspective. You can load in all of these future expenditures and cost events, and as they roll on, trivially do the matches, so you don't get double counts or of all those entries. Inventory, I'll be quietly conservative on. So there's a good basic offer within Xero for tracking inventory items. Of course, using the journal, you make revaluations and adjustments. You can pull down, you make an external analysis for shrinkage or a shift in accounting, accounting choice from LIFO to FIFO, or just do a whole bunch of write-offs and then make the journal change. But there are some third-party apps I'm confidently informed, that will help you to track all those adjustments for you. I'd be tempted not to pay for a third-party app. I'd be tempted to do that externally in Excel, as it's a relatively infrequent event, to just do it in an Excel, and then upload the analysis should it need to be queried in the future. The fixed assets, the fixed assets register is good. It certainly does what you would expect it to. Automated depreciation charges, amortization charges, all that stuff is there. I think there's also clever third-party apps if you're having to cope with any complexity. It does what it needs to do. Nothing to get too excited about. Reports, tracking, dashboards. Again, in the world of cloud, and these come as hygiene features rather than necessarily stunning star features. What I will say is I've noticed that the number and the quality of the standard reports has only got better over time. It's very, very easy to do custom ones. It's very easy to add tags into your transaction data to drive your own reports. To change your accounting periods, so you can do your compare and contrast. And there's just more and more things to click on within the dashboard and within the reports area, so you get an automated drill down. So only for larger businesses have we really had to think hard about making custom reports. For a small business whose concern is tracking finance data rather than ops data, what is immediately available is fine and good. If you want to load in ops data to for example, have a better understanding of your marketing channels and their performance, sales pipelines or whatever, and loading in some data to understand how that works. With not that much work, you can get quickly set up a report to calculate your ROI or your time to convert or your acquisition costs. So again, pull it out and do an Excel or set up a report. Really not too hard, and really quite powerful as well. Budget manager, again, third-party apps for budgeting are pretty damn good. If you're a bit old school, probably maybe you would use just a whole bunch of purchase orders and then check variances along the way. But there are tools that take some of the pain away, so you can make a good record of the different budgets versus the reality and all the variances and the source of variance. So it depends on your needs. Certainly there's third-party apps. Certainly you can use what is available to very good effect. Occasionally, you'll have bad data in the records. You downloaded the wrong bank account, or some idiot's done too many bad postings, and you need to do a scrub. There are nice tools in the system to find and record, to search by different parameters, change source data. Again, it's watermarked, so pretty much all your changes go in the log, which makes the tax office somewhat happier. And there's even as an aside, there's even a nice feature to add placeholder fields and invoices, which is quite fun. So things can, as other events can trigger and drive, content on an invoice, which again is very fun. If you're issuing hundreds of invoices a month, thousands of invoices a month, then these sorts of automations are quite powerful. Multicurrency works really, really nicely with Xero. xe.com tables are pulled in every hour, so you can record a transaction in the appropriate currency, do the conversions. Your gains and losses from FX can be accounted for, and obviously that becomes more and more material if you're consolidating across multiple entities in multiple countries. It's just useful to have to have that comprehensive record of when each transaction happened, you can consider the example of, you know, buying a piece of kit in dollars at a particular day, you know, putting it in the on the balance sheet, and you know the currency moving, the obsolescence or wear and tear revaluation or write down applying, and then trying to unpick the spaghetti when, you know, that material becomes cost of goods on a particular sale. You know, driving GM and all those nice things. So it's just really, really good to have it all there. So if anybody needs to do a dig and really understand what's happened, they can see, are my profits, you know, depressed or enhanced through FX or through, you know, an overeager stock taker. File storage, I just kind of mention it as a sort of an aside to all the lovely cloud features from the start of the presentation. There's just so much data to keep now. It's kind of fun, almost fun and useful and expected that you know, you have an accounting system that stores your data to enable fast interrogations. You know, so many times, I'm sure anyone that's had to work their way through a tax inspection, so many times, or even you know, a query by an owner or an investor, there'll be a transaction that we don't, all the data is not to hand, and then you have to go through 7 years of folders to find one lease agreement that, you know, was edited by hand on the day, hence the number being wrong in the records or different to what was expected. So it's just so powerful to have all of the data pertaining to each transaction in one place. And if it's, you know, if it's attached, if you're thorough and you keep good records, it makes it really, really powerful to do queries. The net in all this, sorry, just to sort of jump to the punch, is you just get massive time savings from using such tools, and a bit of a happiness bump. You know, so imagine a world where, you know, the bookkeeper has all the automated bank feeds and can quickly, you know, okay all the auto magic suggestions, and then, you know, think hard about, you know, what the appropriate adjustments are, not at year end, but, you know, an all quarter end, but sort of on the fly. And then that same person suddenly has a lot of time to, you know, do credit control if it's a combined function, and other financial administration. And obviously, you know, the work of the FD becomes much more focused on strategic issues and, you know, a bigger value add. How do we improve cash flow? How do we, you know, increase the performance, you know, reduce the assets deployed in order to drive our business? So all that clever stuff that you talk to investors and bankers about, you get to focus your energy there. And it's a massive confidence boost, you know, for all sides. So instead of you know, being worried that your data is out of date, or, you know, something was misposted by, you know, someone that didn't know what they were doing or whatever, you've got this you know, this authoritative source of your financial records to timely management decisions. So I've yet to meet a client that, having made the plunge to move to Xero, hasn't been delighted and satisfied. And, you know, £30 a month for the small SME can seem a little bit onerous, perhaps, when, you know, they've been doing it DIY using you know, Excel, but I would say for the amount of time saved, you're going to be hard pushed to not have a return on investment. So certainly no client has ever grumbled after 3 months of using the system. And if you're a charity or a community interest company, I think there's a dispensation or a discount. So it's something like £17.50 a month. Obviously, if you're an accountant and you run their tax, the practice management software, and, you know, you're a much larger business, there's probably a different rate card, different prices apply. But overall, really, really tremendous value for money. I'm at the end of my presentation. I think it's just gone to question mark rather than a thank you slide. Thank you very much for the attention. For those of you that are still there, I hope these sort of run through of all the features is interesting. The best way to decide whether this software is for you is just to try it. It's free for a month. Run a parallel copy of your accounting records and just see how easy it can be. And I very much encourage you to try to join the revolution, the digital cloud systems, be it Xero or any other. Lynn has kindly prepared a few other slides just to make a general call out about the program at large, digital technology adoption support available. So this is incredibly useful for the times of Corona, but we've all been there when
Sorry to interrupt, Justin. I'm just going to launch the feedback poll while you're talking about the catalyst as well, just if people don't mind completing this feedback poll.
It's good not just to hear my own voice, I tell you.
No worries. So I've just launched that. If you don't mind just filling that out before you leave, and also just while Justin's explaining about digital catalyst, please.
So I've worked on a lot of UK and ERDF funded programs, but none at such a difficult time when businesses are, absorbing shock after shock. We all watch our political masters, conjure up new rules and new plans for how we're meant to live our lives and do business. And I'd love to say it's getting easier, but actually I think this new normal is rather hard. So digital catalyst it's a boon for those people that are having to rethink their offer, to looking for automation or efficiency or improvement gains, and they see technology as the way to do that. So there's some fantastic consultants working on the program, lots of different experience. So be you from someone that's an expert in Shopify to someone that spent a career implementing Microsoft Dynamics for enterprises. You've got such a breadth of knowledge, and it's all available at the behest and with the funding of the UK government and ERDF. So crazy not to use it, I think is what I'd say. And in addition, those individuals are available to run webinars, so you get lots of expert input and lots of ideas for topics that you may not even be aware of that could generate very big change and improvement in your business. So according to this, the next seminar is CRM systems, the importance of effective CRM. I can well imagine the gentleman will be talking about the likes of Salesforce and Apply and other CRM. I actually have used HubSpot CRM with many of my clients. Excellent piece of kit, can't recommend that enough. It's a free piece for those that do lots of digital marketing. If you want to know more about accessing grants and finance that might be available in your LEP territory, you go to Grow My SME and you sign up and you start to get this very useful information. There's a number of generous grants at any point in time available for those that are, have ambition, looking to grow, looking to improve their business, looking to fund a difficult asset purchase that's going to change. So the grants and investment advisory piece is useful because it flags, where to put your energies to try and get that source of finance. You obviously get consultants that advise, consultants that mentor, and you get to join a network of people that have got the same interests, agenda, and want to do business properly and well in these difficult times. The Scale Up support program is excellent as well. I'll flag that. Digital Benchmark is Winnie is very proud of their heritage in making some of the best presented and some of the biggest data sets in the UK for SMEs. So as part of this program, there's a benchmarking piece that collects data submitted by the applicants and users, and then they get to see how they compare with similar businesses in the same industry, SIC code, or parallel analogous businesses. If you're willing to pay a little bit to get an additional report, you could sometimes get some really juicy data on, you know, a cohort of interesting businesses that may represent a pivot or a future investment opportunity. So the digital benchmark that you get as part of this program inclusively is excellent, and then that wider database, which you can pay for various things to access, is also excellent. You know, very useful, very insightful. In a world where you usually just have your own data and press headlines. The digital sprint workshops, the one in the Humber patch where one of the where Grow SME is working, one of the fellow consulting partners is an innovation consultancy, and I've seen their work and the sorts of blue chip companies that they help to facilitate innovation for these digital sprints, and it's frankly a privilege to have their involvement. So, you know, Winning Move has assembled a really stellar team of people that can kind of help you think through which bits of the digital puzzle you want to tackle, in which order. And obviously, once you've done your digital sprints with these clever people, you get the usual action plan and efforts to you know, gather a coalition of the willing, you know, internal heroes and champions to kind of bring that vision to life. And again, having an enthusiastic, competent external consultant that's just done it many times before can be quite a powerful catalyst for making that happen. And almost certainly any big plan, any big vision to change or improve the business benefits from you know, additional support, be it for resources or skills or employment. And you know, in each Grow My SME and in each territory, there's some really great public sector organisations working hard to do that signposting and make sure you get the next help to realise that vision. Because technology, you know, the theory and the procurement and the reading feature tables on sales spinny websites, that's only the kind of tip of the iceberg for actually bringing, you know, your digital change to life. It's quite powerful. The particularly powerful aspect to this program is the ability to find you technology providers. So if you think about the world of enterprise, how many bits of software, how many providers actually go to building that stack, all those many solutions that are in place. Whereas, you know, an enterprise player will have, you know, a CTO, a CIO, you know, and then find a software integrator that kind of will, you know, work under SLA to deliver. If you're a little SME, you don't have those people. And you can't just, you know, send all of the task to your system integrator. You actually need to talk to software providers. You have to sign your own contracts. So having that helping hand to find the relevant people, you know, be it you know, an Oracle partner, or as I said before, one of the beneficiaries of Grow My SME, they needed a Shopify consultant. Just to help to find those people is actually incredibly powerful. So just to reiterate, so you've got the one-to-one support from technology experts, the enthusiasm, the energy, the creative thinking, you get that in bundles. Again, I count myself lucky to work with many of the consultants on the program. Some really talented people have done innovation, you know, creating new products. People that have worked in industry, you know, reshaping production lines and digitalizing, you know, warehouses and integrating legacy machines. You know, whatever your puzzle is, digital, there's probably somebody on the team that has touched that area and had some direct experience. So you get a really good perspectives and relatively safe pairs of hands to kind of further that agenda. And you know, once you've picked your opportunity, your digital technology adoption opportunity, and you've taken the advice and you've scoped the work and scanned the marketplace, you know, there's the digital catalyst through its training and mentorship and all those wonderful brokerage opportunities. They help you to kind of bring that to a close, bring it to a reality. And I think this is a sort of quite an exhaustive list of different areas actually on this paragraph. So is it technology for the customer side, the staff side, the ops side, the warehouse, pretty much every part of your business will probably have a digital agenda, whether you choose to embrace it or not. And cyber security, let's not even talk about in a world of stolen elections and such. We all need to be cyber safe, whether you're running countries or running companies. And grants and funding, you know, it's a lifeblood source of help during the time of Corona and outside of the time of Corona. You've paid your taxes, why not get a little bit back to help you to grow your business? Plenty of hand-holding and the shortcut, you know, just getting people who've done it before, who can see the wood for the trees, telling you where to focus. There's some examples that they're certainly not all of mine, but they're good examples to stimulate your ideas. So cloud operations to the cloud, you know, how many businesses have needed to bring up their not just the finance records, but their core ops to the cloud, help with those. Consolidating technology infrastructure, think about all those different stacks, all those different hardware standards, you know, different bits of software, having cliff edge on the support that's offered, and planning, you know, new services and new infrastructure around all those wonderful constraints. As a business grows, that puzzle gets harder and harder. This is why CTOs and CIOs exist. Tools and applications to increase productivity. Some wonderful examples, again, from those innovation folks of bringing that to pass. Introducing e-commerce. So many good solutions. The problem is which one and how to use it and what represents value. Cyber security, you know, the bane of many people's lives these days. Online accounting. What can I say? Who doesn't want to learn about online accounting? Certainly the people on this call did indeed. And CRM, pretty much every business of a size, you know, more than one or two people is going to want to have a CRM system. Again, which one and which presents value and which you know, which provides the relevant integration opportunities. So I'm a huge fan of HubSpot CRM, HubSpot Marketing Suite, very, very expensive. HubSpot CRM, very, very free. And ClickUp is amazing for those that have never used it. So the sorts of issues or challenges that we see as consultants and advisors to those adopting tech, just navigating the smorgasbord, just, you know, death by too many options. Value for money calculations are incredibly hard. So often the best source of you know, the best input on what constitutes a good decision, you know, for these sorts of topics, is just talking to people that have faced the same puzzle or have done the same. So if you're going to implement and if you're going to go from the land of Microsoft Office and a bit of custom software to you know, SAP or Oryx or Dynamics, you would go and get, you know, offers, and you would, you know, collect your requirements and some, you know, your brief requirement sets, talk to lots of people, talk to previous customers. It can be a long and laborious task if every little decision you have to be that detailed for. But the point is, the shortcut, the short circuit, if you like, is just to have these independent brokers, people who've actually done it before, and they'll give you fast answers rather than sort of death by sales reps, which is often the case as soon as you express an interest in any area. Yeah, the knock-on changes and the legislation that is wrapped around all these bits of kit, incredibly important, because the technology outpaces legislation. So, you know, one day you're using a piece of kit and it's safe and sound, and, you know, the next inadvertently you're committing a crime. It's really good to have good partners, you know, a good IT partner or SIS integrator or value-added reseller that keeps track of all those things. But you have to in the same way people are, ignorance of the law is no defence. Pretty much the same applies in tech. So you have to take more than a passing interest. Another challenge that you often see is integration. So my current other day job is basically helping production and manufacturers to make integrations of legacy machines with modern ERP systems. And you can only do it using clever sensors and middleware. And that middleware has to be certified and functional, and has to be compliant with both the law and the ERP system. It is hard. Integration is it is half the puzzle in larger businesses, and it's why ERP consultants and MES consultants charge so much, because you need the pieces to fit together nicely. The saving grace, of course, in the world of cloud is there are just so many wonderful bits of kit now that either have an open API or they work with an open standard. So sometimes you get integration out of the box for free, and you can kind of plan an architecture using jigsaw puzzle pieces that fit together. So don't get too worried that you've got two pieces of jigsaw and you have to kind of hammer them together. With a little bit of foresight and a little bit of good steering, good advice, you can usually make the relevant assembly without too much pain as all the pieces get collected. Implementation and managing tech on an ongoing basis. Again, I would kind of reiterate the need to try and take more than a passing interest and work with the relevant partners. If the nice thing about this program is it's running for some time. It's not a moment in time, the engagement with the beneficiary of businesses like yourselves. And then, even before, for those that are joining the program at the start, by the end of the program, we would hope to see some of these wonderful outcomes. So certainly that's been the case for other Winning Moves executed program. So agility, flexibility, resilience, and getting these things right can make such a big impact to your health and wealth, your happiness and your performance. Tons of growth, through high profits, reducing costs, more for less. No, I don't need to tell anybody on this call the need for an efficiency agenda. So anything that can help with efficiency is now absolutely critical. And there are other benefits that we've seen on this program and others around the customer experience, the staff retention, and cyber security. If you would like to know more and you're only partially engaged with the program, I would encourage you in an unreserved fashion to speak further with the Digital Catalyst team at Winning Moves, of which Lynn is a central part. For the sake of a short call, there's a whole realm of possible benefits. So I would really encourage you to take that step and use this weird age we're now living in to work on your business in a way that perhaps wasn't possible when you were so busy working in your business before. Thank you very much for your attention, for attending. Survive, revive and thrive. What a wonderful tagline for us all to live by.